Hello students, I'm back with another video on common ion effect. This is actually the decrease in the solubility of an ionic precipitate by the addition to a solution of a soluble compound with an ion in the common, which is common with the precipitate. I know it sounds very tough, and by looking at the definition, the concept is not to be understood. So what I'm going to do is, just to make the concept easier, I am going to take the example of your salt analysis. The salt analysis is a practical wherein you will be supposed to find the cation and the anion in your chemistry practicals. Now what I'll do is, I'll start explaining the concept of the salt analysis, and by the time we reach the group 2 and group 3, we would again explain common ion effect. So in one video, I would be able to cover two topics, that is the basis of your salt analysis and also the common ion effect which is playing part in it. So let's start. There are 6 groups when you talk about your cation analysis. The very first group is your zero group, and your cation present in is your ammonium ion, that is NH4 plus, and there is no group reagent. And what happens to the precipitate? The Ksp value is very high, right? That is why it gets precipitated in the group 0 itself, and there is no precipitate color. There is no color for the precipitate. Now if you get confused with that, when your teacher was showing it to you in the laboratory, she showed you a chocolate brown color precipitate. That is only when you have added Nessler's reagent. It has nothing to do with what we are doing it here now. That is a confirmatory test that we do. Now once you are done with group 0, the next is group 1, and in group 1 I have Pb2 plus, lead ion, and the group reagent here is dilute HCl, and your precipitate is PbCl2. So your cation is precipitated as a chloride here, and what color precipitate you get? You get a white precipitate. Okay. Now the next group, group number 2, it has 2 ions, that is copper 2 plus and arsenic 3 plus. Now what you do here is, once you were there in group 1, you added dilute HCl and there was no white precipitate, then you will say that the group 1 is absent. So now what we'll do is, we'll pass H2S in the above solution. Okay, so basically what is the group reagent here? It is dilute HCl plus H2S gas. Okay, so now what is the precipitate? In which form your precipitate is there? Either it is a copper sulfide, or if it was arsenic, it is arsenic sulfide. So here the precipitate is in the form of sulfides. And what is the precipitate color? It is black if you are using copper, and it is yellow if you were using arsenic. Okay, now let's go to the next group. The next is going to be your third group. Third group is your aluminium ion and your ferric ion. Okay, here what do? Here you can either heat this above solution. Your group 2 was absent, so that is why you have moved to the group 3. So either you can heat the above solution so much and so strongly so that all the H2S that you added has escaped, or what you can do is, you can again start afresh. You can take the original solution of your cation that is given to you and prepare its original solution, and then add NH4Cl solid plus NH4OH. Now this ammonium chloride has to be shaken so much that it dissolves, and then NH4OH is added. Now what is going to be the precipitate? The precipitate is going to be aluminium hydroxide or ferric hydroxide, and the precipitate color is, if it is aluminium, it is somewhat jelly like white precipitate, and for your ferric it is reddish brown. Now please pay attention here that I have used a ferric salt here deliberately. If you use a ferrous salt, that is Fe2 plus, what you can do is, you can add dropwise conc HNO3, the concentrated HNO3, and you can heat. Now what will happen, so that because of so much of heating, it gets converted into your ferric ion and it can be used as it is here. Now why do we do this? We do this because the ferric salts are easier to precipitate. Fe3 plus salts are easier to be precipitated. Because why? I will write, because it has low KSP value. So even if we are having a ferrous salt, we first get it converted to the ferric salt, and then only we start with the group 3 hydrolysis. So now if I have the next group, group 4, the ions present in group 4 are nickel ion, cobalt ion, zinc 2 plus and manganese 2 plus. Now most commonly when you will be doing it in your school lab, nickel and cobalt ions, they are usually colored. So that is not in the syllabus, and your teacher won't be giving you these two ions for analysis. Now we are left with zinc and manganese. Now for zinc and manganese, what we are going to do, we are again going to pass H2S gas in the above solution. That means the group reagent here is NH4Cl plus NH4OH plus H2S gas. Now there is one thing that you need to remember. In group 2, when you were adding H2S gas, it was in the acidic medium. And here when you have added H2S gas, you remember that you had already added NH4OH. So here H2S gas has been added to the basic medium. So this is the major difference between group 2 and group 4 and passing of H2S gas. Now what will be the precipitate? The precipitate can be nickel sulfide, cobalt sulfide, zinc sulfide or manganese sulfide, wherein the above two, these two are mostly black in color, the precipitate. And when I'm talking about zinc, zinc is buff color. Buff is a little pinkish brown in color. And when I talk about manganese sulfide, it is dirty white. Now when I talk about group 5, the ions present in group 5 are barium, strontium and calcium. And what do you add? You had already added NH4Cl plus NH4OH. You could have heated the above solution so that H2S can be removed, or you can start afresh and add NH4Cl plus NH4OH plus your ammonium carbonate solution. Once you add this, you get precipitate as carbonate, barium carbonate or strontium carbonate or calcium carbonate, and all three of them are white in color. So you cannot determine from the white precipitate that you get that which ion was there in your solution. Now after group 5, I have group 6. Group 6 has only one ion, that is Mg2 plus. So now what do we add? We add disodium hydrogen phosphate, or we add sodium dihydrogen phosphate in the above solution only. And then what do we get? We get magnesium ammonium phosphate, which is white in color. Right? So this is how your groups, 6 groups are divided into for your cation analysis. Back to the main topic, which is common ion effect. So I am first taking the example of group 2. Now if you remember, I had dilute HCl and H2S as my group reagent when I was talking about group 2. So, and I told you specifically to add HCl first. So now what will happen when you add dilute HCl first? HCl is a strong electrolyte, so it will break into H plus and Cl minus, and we know it is a strong electrolyte, so I will say it is undergoing complete dissociation. Right? After HCl has been added, then you add H2S, and we know H2S is a weak electrolyte, so it dissociates into 2H plus and S2 minus, and we know that this is partial dissociation. Right? Now this equilibrium sign denotes that it is not completely dissociated, and also this equilibrium is affected due to the presence of H plus from here also. You can see that once you added H2S, there is a equilibrium set up between 2 H plus ions with the H2S because it is not completely dissociated, and also there are H plus ions present from the dissociation of HCl that you added earlier. right? So you already have H plus ion in the medium, that is the excess of hydrogen ion is already there, which causes the second reaction to move backwards. If you remember Le Chatelier principle, that if there is a change in the concentration or if there is any change at the equilibrium, it causes the system to change so as to undo the change. So now what is happening when this is dissociating, I already have one of the product, that is H plus ions present in the excess. So what will happen now? Now my reaction will move in the backward direction according to my Le Chatelier's principle. So according to Le Chatelier's principle, the reaction moves back in the backward direction. So now what will happen if the reaction is going in the backward direction? So the concentration of S2 minus decreases. What happens? The concentration of S2 minus decreases. Why? Because moving in the backward direction means that it is now dissociating even less than before. So if it is dissociating less, then the concentration of sulfide ion also decreases. But the question is, why did we do it like that? Why did we want that sulfide ion concentration should decrease? Because we need less of sulfide ions in our reaction, in our analysis. Why? Because when I'm talking about this, the KSP for group 2 sulfides is low. अगर अब आप सल्फाइड आयन की concentration excess में कर दोगे, then some other cation of a higher group will also get precipitated. We just want that the group 2 ions to be precipitated, so I need the concentration of sulfide ions to be low. And that is only possible if I add a strong electrolyte first and then I add a weak electrolyte, which both of them have a common ion, due to which the weak electrolyte will move backward in direction and the concentration of my sulfide ion will decrease. Now let's quickly again define what is common ion effect. Now it is the dissociation of a weak electrolyte which is even suppressed now. Weak electrolyte dissociates already less. Now it is even suppressed in the presence of a strong electrolyte when it is having a common ion in it. I hope now it is clear. Now let me take another example wherein this is again happening, the common ion effect. Let me take group 3. In group 3, we have added NH4Cl in the solid form plus NH4OH in the aqueous form. Now again, what is happening when you have added NH4Cl? Being a strong electrolyte, it will break into NH4 plus and Cl minus. And when you will add NH4OH, there would be an equilibrium setup which would be NH4 plus OH minus. Right? Now what will happen? Now again, there is a common ion present in both, NH4 ion. This is your weak electrolyte, this is your strong electrolyte. So now due to the presence of the common ion, the dissociation of this is even suppressed. So according to the Le Chatelier principle, what will happen? The reaction will move in the backward direction. So what will happen due to the movement in the backward direction? The concentration of OH minus decreases. Now you have lesser amount of hydroxide ions in the solution. So now what will happen? Now your cation will precipitate as a hydroxide. And why did we do it? Because the KSP of group 3 cations, or I can say the KSP of group 3 hydroxides, is low. So it is easy to precipitate in the form of hydroxide ions. So purpose of adding the strong electrolyte is that it does not let the weak electrolyte to move forward. Now what will happen if you forget to add NH4Cl? Let's consider this case also. Now if I do not add a strong electrolyte here, what will happen? Then I will only have this equation in my solution, and now since it is not being suppressed, then what will happen? The concentration of OH minus ions will increase. So now the moment the concentration of hydroxide ions would be increasing, the higher group cations will get precipitated. And if that happens, then you won't know what is the precipitate in your group 3. If group 3 we expect the gel-like precipitate for aluminium or reddish brown for iron, then you will not be having any that kind of a precipitate, because a higher group cation would be precipitated and it would be very difficult for you to identify which cation was given to you. So it is very necessary to add a strong electrolyte in the case where you are adding a weak electrolyte for the dissociation, so that its suppression, the dissociation can be suppressed and the concentration of the other anion that is there in the solution can be decreased and it can be precipitated in that form. I hope the video helped you.